Hello, everybody. So I know it's early in the morning. Well, it's not early, but I don't typically do live streams at this time. But that's okay because, again, these things, once they're up, they stay up. And I just felt guided to kick off today with a breakdown of a notion that has really been on my mind a lot lately. So this broadcast here, I'm calling it the Daily Visions. This is something that you guys can expect regularly, once or twice a week. Hey, you guys, there you all are. All right, I see some familiar names and faces. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. So my Daily Visions segment is going to be kind of an abbreviated version of what is going to happen over on my Patreon, which is going to be an extended version of this breakdown. And I'll also be doing readings using the cards, readings for the collective. I have been doing collective readings for the subscribers to my Patreon. And how I do that is what's been working is breaking them down into male and female collectives. So we've got messages for the males and we have messages for the women. So and because my subscribers over on Patreon, I think I've got 41 or 42 now, which is amazing. It's actually a really awesome time to get a collective reading like that because it's a small collective, and the chances that the messages specifically resonate for you, the likelihood of that, the statistics just go up, that it's going to have an even stronger resonance to you because those collectives are small for the time being. Now, I do plan on growing my subscriber count over on Patreon a great deal. So that may change a little bit over time, but I will adapt and find a way to really make those collective readings specific to you, specific to, the people that are following this channel. And I'll really just, make an extra effort to focus in on the folks that are focusing in on me. We are mirrors of each other. Good morning, everybody. So what I'd like to talk to you guys about today is the concept of witness. Now, what do I mean by the concept of witness? Well, we've all heard the term to bear witness. This is something that has been rolling around my brain for quite some time, a couple years now. And it's really in its biblical essence. And I pulled up biblical references for the term witness. Let's see here. In the New Testament, the original notion of a witness is exhibited in the special form of one who attests his belief in the gospel by personal suffering. So that's a pretty extreme way to put it. Let me see here. There was actually something I had pulled up. The basic meaning of witness in the Bible. Okay, now you guys know I am not a primarily Christian channel. I myself am not actually a Christian, although I do very much believe in Jesus and love Jesus and all that stuff. But I guess you could say I'm non-denominational in that way. I study and learn from all religions and creeds, although I do not identify with one specifically. I'm a lot more fluid. That being said, I think there's so much to learn from all of these texts, including the Bible. And you will hear me make reference to biblical, to scripture, and also to various books related to the Bible, such as the books of Enoch, and then also some of the hidden texts that don't get any clout whatsoever. So you are going to hear me make references to the Bible and to Christianity as well as Judaism, but I'm not, I don't identify as, strictly this or that or the other thing. Okay. So now with that being said, In the Bible, a witness is someone who sees something amazing or important. If this person begins to share what they've seen, we call this bearing witness. It's a simple word, but being a witness carries a lot of responsibility. And this whole notion goes back so far. When you think about what it means to be somebody's partner, whether that means you are their lover, their husband, or their wife, in the context of a parent-child relationship, in the context of a friendship, we are looking at the implications of what it means to bear witness to the experiences of another soul, and how without witness, we are left to internalize these great events, these great experiences, and we have to do that on our own. Now, certainly God is with us all the time, so we're not ever truly alone. But the idea of witness, I think, is something that is very special. And I also think because it is this almost primordial need for the human experience, to have someone there to mirror you in ways and to bear this witness to your life, to your suffering, to your triumph. This is something that is so hardwired within us. There's a reason why we have duality, why there's masculine and feminine properties in everything. The principle of gender. This is not a suggestion. This is a law. This is why things work this way, is because we're meant to come in pairs. We're meant to multiply. The idea of witness is far more than just, oh, so-and-so saw what happened. This is what happens. Witness is what happens when an experience is magnified, and when that experience ripples throughout the consciousness. And I believe that what happened? Who said what? See, this is kind of why, oh, Maria, yeah, so I do, it's okay, you guys, there's no, like, toxicity here. So I do actually have a thyroid issue. Thank you, Maria. It is swollen. So it goes down, the swelling goes down when I've had like a really good week, a lot of water, take all my vitamins, what have you. But I do have a very sensitive thyroid, and I had a bit of a crazy weekend. I did, sugars and gluten. And so my body immediately puffs up like this. This is what I can expect. So it's okay. There's no, there's no hard feelings here. It's a real observation. I'm not offended whatsoever. So anyways, I feel that this inherent hardwiring that we have to witness one another, I think, has been exploited a great deal. And we see this everywhere in social media, with social media. Folks of all ages, from every background of life. Now everybody has a social media, and it makes us feel seen. It makes us feel supported when other people, even complete strangers, can bear witness to our lives. Now, the thing about it is that it has been exploited to such an extent that we're now magnifying people's experiences that are diluted with, service to self, or, even worse, things that are malevolent in nature, things that drag us down as a collective, things like, senseless violence. There's a lot of porn, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of things out there that people are bearing witness to on the internet and social media that are magnifying ripples that actually act to counter the benevolent ripples. And so it's just one big consciousness, soup of magnified experiences. Now, one thing's for certain, in the biblical context of the notion of witness, I think it really came down to folks in the Bible needing other people to see and hear and feel and experience exactly what they were going through, because it was just so big what was happening. It was so unbelievable what was happening. And so to bear witness in the Bible is just this huge thing. It's just this massive thing. And I think there's even, Bible studies have tried to nail down how many, oh, that's a terrible reference to make. They have tried to pin down how many times the notion of witness has been used in the Bible. Let's see here. So now another thing about it, it does have to do with the idea that without witness, without the element of another human being or human beings there to witness our struggle, our experience, whether it be an event or what have you, the idea is that without them, that magnification can't happen. Is that without those eyes, without those extensions of consciousness, which, let's face it, that's what people are. People are fractal experiences. People are fractal manifestations of God itself, of Creator itself. So to have all of these eyes on us, on you, and these eyes are arguably eyes of God, this is a huge thing. And I think, the mainstream media, they have utilized these truths about the magnification of an event or an emotion or a concept. They have used this magnification rule to their advantage, and they will promote all of that malevolence and all of that fear. So, a lot of us, myself included, I will watch some of the mainstream programming for the purpose of seeing where they're at. I want to have a good idea of what the narrative is looking like, sounding like, so that I can kind of compare and contrast to what I think is going on, to what real researchers and journalists and investigators think is going on. So I will look at mainstream media for that. Now, how many millions of people around the world are still watching mainstream media and accepting this as fact? A lot, too many. And so media is using the concept of witness to play against the future of humanity. Because hundreds of millions of people, eyes on a screen, they are bearing witness to these lies, and these lies become truth. These lies become truths within the human story over time, because, and what do we know? You tell a lie 1,000 times, you will begin to believe it, and everybody that you repeat it to enough times will believe it as well. So the lies become truth. And so this is why the notion of witness is something that is very important. It's not something to take lightly. I mean, who are we really if we don't have each other? I was thinking about it. I'm single. I do everything myself. Certainly I have support where I need it, but I adventure by myself. I go out by myself. I live quite fearlessly. I believe we attract what we attract. We attract what we think about. We attract what we what we fear sometimes, we also attract what gets us excited. So, I travel areas by myself. I do things by myself, and it has dawned on me that I do have my phone to take some kind of a recording of my experiences, but what I don't have is another human being there to bear witness to this. And I think a lot of poets and writers have talked about this thing, and that the world is meant for two. The world is meant to be experienced and traveled and lived within only as long as you have somebody else there with you to share those experiences with. And to an extent, I really do believe in solo experiences, solo traveling, and the hermit's path. That being said, we really do need each other, and our experiences reverberate and are magnified truly when we can share what we're going through, and when that can be beheld by somebody else through the mirror of their consciousness. So I wanted to talk about that. Let me sit here for just a second and see what else I'm getting. Okay. So then there was also something about the process of witness, the process of what happens when your eyeballs, these lenses through which you perceive the world around you in a visual way, where you see light, color, shade, shape, form. The eyes are processing light information. The skin is processing etheric information. Your ears are processing audible information. Your nose, your taste buds, your entire body is operating as one machine, processing way more information that is just visible to you. And my feeling is that when we all have a deeper understanding of how this vessel works, I call it the starship, how this vessel processes information with all of our senses from the world around us. If we were all to witness the same thing at around the same time together, I believe, and I believe in part that this is why the notion of witness is brought up so many times in the Bible, is because the era that we are moving into right now, there will be absolutely unbelievable events that take place in the sky, in our communities, in our parks, in our neighborhoods, in our oceans, our bodies of water, our woods, our forests. I believe that we are moving into a time where collectively we will bear witness to events that absolutely stun us. And my hope is that we are, and we have been, preparing ourselves enough, mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, to bear witness to these things and to magnify the truths of these events in such a way that it can't be covered up. It can't be glossed over. It can't be covered by some kind of smokescreen narrative because all of the screens that we were fighting against, the devices, the TVs, their cameras, the 5G, our technology, our processing technology is stronger than their technology. Now, I've talked about this before at the very beginning of the pandemic, before CV-19 hit stateside officially to where they were announcing it. I believed that this was all going to come down to some kind of a war of the networks. And when I say networks, I'm not talking Comcast versus, some other, Xfinity, which they're the same now. The network of the human technology, human consciousness as it is naturally linked to the planet itself, versus the synthetic webbing, the synthetic blanket of satellites and towers and frequencies that are all synthetic. They're born of synthesis. They are born of men, the hands of men. These two networks were going to war. They were going to compete for dominance of the field. And I believe that, part of the reason why I'm talking to you guys about witnesses at all is because I believe our ability to bear witness to each other in our personal lives, and also en masse in a much, much grander scale, is a very important super weapon against what the controllers have planned. And what I mean by this specifically, our eyes and our bodies, our ears, our olfactory senses, all of our senses, we are technology, we are machines. And we are being pitted against other machines with similar processing technology, cameras, microphones, script writers, bad actors. These are all systems also in the same way that we are. Now, they are competing against us by basically generating how much witness that they can create over here. Witness to this lie, witness to this narrative, witness to this timeline. And we are exactly the same. We are witnesses to the truth, witnesses to the timeline, witnesses to each other. And it's really going to come down to who is more dominant, because my understanding is that consensus rules the world. And what I mean by that is, if you have the numbers, you dominate. So now God is on our side, so that's a good thing. But that being said, their campaign to rope as many processing systems in the form of humans, to change many human beings into processing machines that they can control, that campaign is, in full swing. I think that that's what they've been attempting to do. When you and I are operating as God intended, we are free of the malevolent technology that they put inside those pokey things. We don't have that. We love each other. The heart is working properly. The brain is working properly. When we operate as a system like that, what we're doing is we are reserving our power. We are reserving our generative abilities, our productive abilities, and literally our physical, our bioenergy. We are preserving that, reserving it for ourselves. And what they have been attempting to do is take as many human bodies as they can and turn those human bodies into property of Pfizer, Moderna, the list goes on. And they are attempting to hijack the natural human system to create processing machines that they can override, that they can control, and most importantly, that they can generate witness amongst this collective so that they can compete with our witness. Who has the bigger numbers? Who is witnessing the real truth? Well, we all know at this point that, you know, the truth is the truth, and there's really no changing that on a fundamental level. But we've all seen what can happen when a lie is perpetuated intelligently, when it's perpetuated consistently, and when there's a lot of fear behind it. They can make the truth whatever they want to make it with the right tools. Jenny, we love you. You are not traveling alone. I travel alone all the time. Like, I'm not a soft target. I don't move through the world with any fear whatsoever. I'm just not, it's not a thing for me. Let's see, you guys. What do we have going on in here? It's true. Alex says, in essence, the media only presents what they want you to see and think about, and that's what's going on. Very true. Very true. Let's see here. Do you guys have anything you'd like to maybe ask the cards? We got 71 people in the chat. That's really awesome. It's awesome. All right, guys. Jenny, how can we fight the one world government? Well, that's a great question. You know, something I'll say here, and I wasn't expecting to go into this, but the idea that mainland United States will be invaded by any kind of infantry or boots on the ground force, and that it would come down to man against man, group against group in the continental US on our soil, that is so far from reality that even to them, and when I say them, our contention, China, you know, the Soviets, the Ukrainians, the neo-Nazis. Oh, I'm going to get struck so hard. You guys, if this is the last YouTube live that I get to do for a little while, I really, you know, it was worth it. I'm really going to try not to get struck because I'm really trying to build something here. Anyways, the continental US, in the event that we were invaded by some kind of foreign agents, that I believe would be considered a complete failure and last resort scenario in the eyes of our opposition. That is not what they want at all. Believe me, I feel very, very, very strongly about this in particular, is that a mainland invasion of the United States, the continental United States, to them, in the eyes of our enemies, is a complete failure. That's like, okay, guys, like if plans A through C do not work, worst case scenario, we invade. That's not going to happen. And you know, that might actually sound like a pretty far stretch from some of the previous videos I've done, but I mean, whatever, we all change. My ideas have changed. My sight, my vision, my perception has changed. If you're not changing, if you're not growing and you're staying the same, you're probably doing something wrong. So I have changed my mind specifically on the idea that this country is being prepped for some kind of mainland invasion in the near future. I don't believe that. We are too armed. We are more armed than most small countries' armies are, and that's just within the civilian population of the United States. They don't want that kind of fight. Rather, what they are doing is playing the long game. Now, the difference between the Eastern cultures and the Western cultures, unfortunately, is that here in the West, we have all been programmed to operate under the service to self protocol. Everything that we do in the West is about getting rich, making things bigger, and instant gratification. And in the East, because they are far older, they are an ancient culture. They have learned over the course of their lives, over the course of their history, that service to self is a fast track to destruction. So they are far more patient than we are in the West. The idea of service to self has been it's frowned upon, it's demonized in the East. The Eastern cultures are about service to the community, service to the family, service to the ancestors, and also to the descendants. So, and I'm specifically talking about China, which, by the way, I have a lot of compassion for the Chinese people. Like, I have no issue with any foreign nationals whatsoever. They're not their government. They didn't choose this. They're people just like we are. We are truly one big human family. And in a lot of ways, I mean, I'm kind of just hoping that, you know, the people that want war, the people that want the fight, let them fight. We'll, you know, when they're done fighting, we'll open our doors and we'll rebuild after they've scorched the earth, right? That's just, you know, I'm just talking there, but they're playing the long game. So they're not looking to invade the continental US. They don't want to do that. To them, that's considered a failure. Now, what they will do and what they are doing is poisoning us slowly. And they're poisoning our air, they're poisoning our water, and they're just going to make it so difficult to live healthy lives that we are essentially forced to make difficult decisions, and that we look to them for the resolution, for the answer. Now, how do we fight that? Well, there are so many things. There's so many things that we can do. And all one needs to do is look at their tools, their weapons against us, and you have a pretty good idea at like what their strategy is. So they're definitely focusing on the kids. You know, even the TikTok algorithms, the difference in what American viewers are watching in their algorithms, it's like night and day. You know, in Asia, the TikTok algorithms, you know, they reward things like, you know, merit-based actions. You know, if it's an accomplishment in science, math, art, something like that, that's what they're showing, you know, Chinese people. Is they're showing people, like, you know, they're trying to prop them up. They're trying to reward intelligence and merit and creativity. Whereas here, it's about booty shaking and, you know, just bullshit, like just pure unadulterated bullshit. If given enough time, the youth of these Asian countries versus the youth of America, I mean, it's pretty clear they're waiting. They're waiting for this generation to grow up. And at which point their hope is that our youth is so easy to dominate, so easily manipulated, that they're just really willing to jump ship and kind of do whatever the controllers ask of them. So how do we fight that? Well, I believe that the first thing is the family unit. I think this country is in dire need of healing between the sexes. I think men and women, sort of the war between males and females, is at an all-time high right now. I hate it. I hate the fact that you can't go on, you know, on YouTube or Instagram or any social media without somebody that has a podcast bashing the other sex. Men suck, women suck. And it's like, you guys, our enemies are laughing at us. Our enemies are thrilled at the idea that men and women in the West hate each other and that we are looking to one up each other. This is a fast track to destruction. So, mend your relationships with the people, the men and women in your lives. We probably need one big group therapy session that goes on for like 5 years at least. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a huge advocate for therapy under, with qualified therapists, nobody from the actual like APA, because that's like really bad. So the family unit is probably the most important. There are reasons why most of the MK Ultra patsies that you read about and hear about, they come from broken homes with single mothers, no fathers there to protect the family unit. Please remember that when the masculine and the feminine are entwined in their divine alchemical marriage, they form a barrier. They form this impenetrable shield around the family unit. And so when we break that down, the children who are the future, they are completely susceptible. So this is really warfare 101. So the family unit's very important. I'm a huge advocate for seeds, like heirloom seeds. I think that if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's right now and you go to the seed section, a lot of those seeds have probably had the spirit bred out of them. So they're not like the real good seeds. So I'm a huge advocate for going around and finding your heirloom seeds, making sure your soil is good. I think greenhouses I predict that greenhouse sales where you can kind of like build your own, or you can pop one up. I think that's going to be a huge thing the next couple of years, as people are they're waking up to the chemtrails, they're waking up to the poisoned groundwater, they're waking up to all of this stuff, and they're going to try to create more insulated, more controlled agricultural communities and properties here. And I really think that's all we can do. A lot of them want to bait us into violence. They want us to wake up every day with anger and fear that we are going to be attacked on the mainland continental US. That's not what's going to happen. When we're in a state of defense and we're constantly preparing for some kind of battle, that fear state doesn't allow us to create. It has us in a perpetual state of, you're tense, you're ready to destroy, you're ready to bounce, you're ready to do something, you're expecting the worst. So instead of that, I wish I could impart on you guys that it's more about being creative. We do not kill the things we hate. We save the things we love. And that's huge, because they love violence. They know that violence is a language that most people understand on a very primal level. And so they're trying to keep us stuck in that violence, in that violence sphere. But when we shift it and it's more about saving what we love, preserving what we love, they can't really touch us there. They can try, but make no mistake, these people are not perfect. The controllers, our enemies, whether they be foreign agents or, domestic enemies, domestic terrorists, the deep state, they're not perfect. They're flawed. There's so many of them too, that they're, individually they're making mistakes. They're sloppy as well. I think we give them too much credit sometimes for the things that they do. And it's like, you guys, like, they're slipping up. They slip up all the time. And if they were as perfect or as, well-oiled of a machine as a lot of us give them credit for, then all of their propaganda would be it would be useless. They wouldn't need it so much. They wouldn't rely so heavily on the tools that they use because they would already feel that they have it in the bag. And I get the sense that they don't feel that at all. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I've been on here for about 40 minutes, I am going to continue this over on Patreon. And over there, I'm going to start doing, right here in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to pull some cards. We're going to do some cards for the collective, probably take a look at what's going on this week, current events. So the Patreon link is in the description box. You got about 5 minutes, 10 minutes until I pick up, and we're going to finish this over there. There will be cards, okay? So that's your incentive. So you guys, my Patreon's really affordable. It's $17 or $25 monthly. And what you can expect is going to be 2 videos per week at least. And also I'm working on some merch and some perks for my VIP subscribers. All right, you guys, so this has been my Daily Visions segment on the concept of witness and its implications in modern life. And I'm really glad you guys tuned in. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and I will see you next time.